The bank statement saga continues, and I have some wonderful updates for you, which is going to please so many people that are being completely harassed by the Department of Work and Pensions to show all of their transactional data on their bank statements. Lock-in is likely to be a slightly long one because I'm going to be going through some really good juicy bits of new information, as well as a little update on my own case and how that experience can help you. But first of all, I have to answer these two questions here, and please keep your comments coming and your statements coming. It is so good to see the whole of the UK public coming together over this absolute complete invasion of privacy. Let's go for it. So David White says, they have just asked for mine, that he means bank statements, in Friday. Should I be worried? Served this country for 40 years and now I'm being treated like a criminal. David, you are not alone. And in this video, I'm going to be going through the things that are going to make your day a much brighter day. And for those of you who are still not checking your online banking to see whether or not your information is being shared by third parties that you did not know about, please make sure you go and watch this entire playlist that I have done here on YouTube. It will walk you through different things like settings, things you need to look out for, and things that you should be aware of, because this is your personal data, your bank, your account, your life. So if you're new to the channel, hello, welcome. My name is Alison. I used to work for the Department of Work and Pensions only for a couple of years, so don't hold it against me. Before I sued them not once, not twice, but 3 times, and I won unlawful harassment and failure to make reasonable adjustments for disabilities. I make it literally my mission to hold this organisation accountable, because my God, do they make people's lives hell if they don't. And a lot of actions that the Department of Work and Pensions, in my humble opinion, that they put people through is completely unnecessary, including my very own 5-year-long lawsuit, which needn't have happened had they have just followed their own policies. Needless to say, the Equality Act. Now, I'm still getting hundreds and hundreds of comments from people absolutely outraged, panicked, anxious, disappointed, because yet again the Department of Work and Pensions is giving absolutely no explanation, no reason for the unlawful, in my opinion, request for extreme amounts of bank statements, personal data, transactional data, which the Information Commissioner's Office in London has got something brand new to say about this. And if you've been following me, you already know that me and the ICO, we kind of read from the same hymn sheet. So let's get into their update, because I think it's going to put DWP back in their place. So in today's video, I want to explain exactly the changes that have happened and what is considered lawful by the Information Commissioner's Office in London, and where the line is. Now, this isn't just baseless theory, this is foundational practice, and I've even used this in my own case in law. Now, despite what work coaches and other people may be saying to you at your local job centre, unless you are under a fraud investigation and unless you have been served an eligibility verification notice, then you should not have to give your transactional data over to DWP. And we can see this in the updated Commissioner. where the Commissioner says, I recognise that recovering money lost to fraud and error in the social security system is important, and yes it is, and it is a legitimate aim for government to pursue, but government also states that the measure will help to identify overpayments caused by error more quickly, helping claimants to avoid building up debt. However, these legitimate aims must be balanced with individuals' right to privacy. And then the Commissioner then goes on to say, more importantly, please focus on the highlighted blue part. The risk of sharing unnecessary and sensitive information is also mitigated by paragraph 1 section 4 of the new schedule 3b, which prohibits the sharing of transaction information or special category data. Absolute boom flipping shamalang. Let me break this down for you, right? Transactional information is all of the things that you're spending your money on. Okay, special category data is anything that relates to health, sexual activities, religion, age, specific purchases, anything that is related to your race, your culture. So what this is doing, or what this is saying, and it really is doing the heavy lifting for your rights, people of the UK, is this. I'm literally just going to look very briefly at my notes here so we get the specific facts. Data can only be used to identify incorrect payments. Your bank statements are data. Use must be linked to specific benefits so that they can ensure that their requests are fair and proportionate, but only with the identification of incorrect payments. Powers must stay narrow. So no 6-year, 9-year, 10-year and the complete nonsense. I have heard some of you right. I'm not saying I don't disbelieve you. I'm saying if someone is asking you for 6 years of your bank statements, by George, they better have a damn good reason for doing so. The next one is scope. Cannot quietly just expand. If there is no reason to have access to your transactional data other than we're just doing a universal credit review and you are not under the suspicion of fraud, and it is clear that you do not have any undeclared changes or income, just a random blanket, let's just check everything and ask for 1 month and 4 months and 4 years, according to the information from the ICO, is an absolute no. So just to be really clear for any of the DW team that might be watching, because we all know you like to screen record and just make all sorts of totally insane assumptions from my content with words that I haven't even said coming out of my mouth. So hit screen record now. Any information obtained under these powers can only be used to identify incorrect payments, not for phishing exercises, not for the gathering of information for a rare and random, perhaps one day possibly check. According to the Information Commission's Office, who, by the way, do make the laws on data protection in GDPR, it's not DWP. You need to follow those rules. DWP. Now, we all know you're not very good at following your own rules, and we all know you're not very good at following things like the Equality Act, so we need to pop this one on your radar. Now, if we read a little bit further into this paragraph, and this is directly taken from the Information Commission's website, by the way, the part in blue. And let's not forget that this new process, or these new processes that Department of Work and Pensions are adopting, are under constant review. They have to, by law, be under constant review by the ICO for one, and the ICO state. However, very important, I would welcome more guidance in the code of practice, which is probably very thin if the ICO is asking for more guidance, to reinforce being the key word, that only the minimum necessary information must be shared in order to identify the account and account holders and how the eligibility indicators have been met to suggest incorrect payments. It's all there. So given this, yes, you should be reducting or covering up your transactional data if you are not happy about sharing it. If you don't care, if you want to give it to them or all of it, then you can do so. But lots of people do not want to. And I, for one, would highly recommend that you give certain agencies like this the least amount of information as possible, because when they make mistakes, they will try, in my experience for myself, potentially misuse information or make a random assumption that is literally just not watertight. And I'm now going to give you a very good example from my own case. Now, as we all know, the Department of Work and Pensions are, well, a task all to themselves. But now, in the process of me suing the Department of Work and Pensions, they actually had the golden balls to try and land me with £186,000 worth of their legal costs because they didn't follow the rules, because they did not follow the policies, because they failed to implement the Equality Act of 2010. Let's not forget. And I had to provide my bank statements at that point to the tribunal. Don't have a problem with doing so. But what I wasn't going to have done was every single thing that I buy trifled through. And my God, did DWP try to do so? So let me give you a little top tip. This is where some of you need to pull up your big girl's pants and realise that actually you have rights, even if you're on benefits. I'm actually not. But even if you are, or you're engaging with the Department of Work and Pensions, your life is not an open book for them. Now, here on the screen, you can see a little screenshot from my Deliveroo account. I order a lot from Deliveroo. As you can see, I order a lot from Co-op. They're not like takeaways and takeouts and things like that. And one of the reasons why I order a lot from Deliveroo is because I have a very bad problem with disability with my right hand, and in particular my right knee, but really where shopping is concerned, my right hand. I prefer smaller shops. If I order a massive online delivery or a weekly, or even I never do monthly, but a weekly delivery from any large supermarket, they're just going to come and plonk it down on my door, and then I'll still have to go backwards and forwards with literally every single item, because Lord knows why supermarkets just do not give us carrier bags anymore, but apparently we don't. And for someone that has a permanent disability in their hand, it really affects my hand. It's very painful. It's just not something, So I order a lot from Deliveroo. Why did I have to provide this information? Because when they had access to my bank statements, when you have to put it into a PDF to upload to the system that I had to upload it to, a couple of the lines kind of squished together. So the transaction, which was my rent, showed above. It basically looked like I was paying I'd spent 126 quid on one Deliveroo, and I'm like, yeah, no. No, the assumptions that were made about the fact that I was lying and that I was spending £126 on Deliveroo. And by the way, if I wanted to spend £126 bloody pound on Deliveroo, I bloody well will. But I wasn't. That was the point. I hadn't, and that was the case. I hadn't. But DWP were absolutely hounding me through their legal team that this was not the case. And that because of it, I was attempting to mislead the tribunal. So in the break, my advisor said, do you know what, Ali? Just give it to them. So I thought, right, let's give them this. So I gave them this to prove that it was actually that amount there of £19.98 was actually the top item there that you can see there was the one that was on the, the payment that I had made. And obviously I'd done another one because I do forget things, guys. I am absent-minded quite a lot. As we can see there, 2 deliveries on one day. People filling in your PIP applications. This is a very good way that you can use your transactional data to support your PIP application. Anyway, getting back to it. On my bank statement, I also had a payment from Tesco's Superstore. It was about 78 quid. And DWP said to me, "Oh, but you've also bought something from Tesco's, £78 in the same month. Ooh, you can't be telling the truth." And I'm like, "Yeah, I did also buy something from Tesco's." "What did you buy?" I said, "I don't actually have to give you that information. I do not have to tell you what I have bought at Tesco's. It's absolutely none of your business." The point I'm making here is if you give people your transactional data and they have an axe to grind because they've done something, or in my case, hadn't done something that they should have done, they are going to try and misuse that information any damn way they can to try and assert a very weak, in my opinion, assumption. So keep your data private, keep your transactional data private, and just don't give it to them. That would be mine. Unless they have proven by the statutes of GDPR, data protection and fraud, not fraud prevention, fraud, that you have to provide them with that information. And I will say this, with a country and a department that has literally the worst reputation in being behind with absolutely everything, from PIP assessments and PIP decisions to actually giving someone their first universal credit payment, maybe the taxpayers' money would be better spent in civil servants actually doing their bloody jobs than looking through people's bank statements and asking stupid questions that take over 1 hour long. I mean, this is not rocket science, is it? Now, there are a couple of instances where if you've had a change of circumstances that you haven't reported and that DWP have picked up from another organisation or another entity, that could give rise to a universal credit claim review. But if you're sure that that's not you, and if you're sure that there's been no changes in your income, that you duly declared everything where your income is concerned, there is no reason for a universal credit claim review, because universal credit claim reviews for the most part can only be done if there's a change of circumstances. So with that, into the data protection toolkit pack that I have here. Anyone can go and download it and buy it with all the different things that I've talked about and that you are going to be required to use, such as letters. I'm going to be adding a new one in there, and if you've already downloaded that, don't worry, I'm going to add it to it. Just download it again. It's with this new information from the Information Commissioner's Office in London, who have clearly stated that transactional data is not part and parcel of DWP's blanket everyday requests unless, as I said, you fall into one of those categories. And if you want to know what the 20 different change of circumstances could be that could put you into this situation, just comment something down below and I will do another video for you in the next day or so. Let me know, guys. As always, stay strong, stay true to yourself, and just don't be bullied. It's just ridiculous. Don't be bullied, guys. Just do not allow yourself to be bullied and harassed, and keep your data private.